Hello, my name is Lindsay, and I'd like to take a few moments to walk through Group 3's focus for this quarter. To stay consistent with the theme of this class, we decided to focus on the issue of medical non-adherence across the U.S. 20 to 30% of medication prescriptions are never filled, and medical non-adherence costs the U.S. healthcare system over $100 billion annually. These are just a few statistics related to medical non-adherence, and this crisis continues to challenge the healthcare industry. The purpose of this study was to understand whether or not users could successfully track and manage their family's medical needs using existing web tools in the market. For our study, we evaluated one tool called CareZone in depth and compared CareZone to a competitor, Microsoft Health Vault. We wanted to understand how users would expect to use these tools in context and whether or not the experience provided was usable. CareZone is a site that allows people to track and manage their family's medical needs in a secure manner. CareZone is available through several devices, however, we decided to dive deep into testing the desktop tool only. In addition, we introduced Health Vault into our studies to compare the features and usability provided against CareZone. For the usability test, the team was able to test with 5 participants using the CareZone tool that were consistent with both identified personas, the family medical manager and the caregiver. Each session lasted between 20 to 30 minutes, and each participant completed a pre-test and a post-test questionnaire using Google Forms. Each participant was asked to complete 5 tasks. This includes adding a new medication with the appropriate dosage and instruction details, adding a doctor's appointment, logging symptoms, adding care instructions for an existing medication, and creating a new care zone. Next, for the comparison test, we tested 2 conditions using a between subjects test design. Each participant tested with only one condition, either Microsoft Health Vault or CareZone. For consistency, two moderators tested half of their participant pool with condition 1 and the other half with condition 2. Each session lasted between 5 to 7 minutes between 16 participants. Each participant was asked to complete just 2 tasks. This includes adding a new medication with the appropriate dosage and instruction details and adding a doctor's appointment. Overall, participants were successful using both tools. For the usability test, participants were 80% successful and completed each task in about 2 minutes. For the comparison test, participants were equally successful and completed each task with both CareZone and Health Vault at a 91% success rate. Although the task success rates were the same, participants perceived Health Vault to be slightly more difficult to use than CareZone by 0.6 points, and the t-test supported this claim with a score of 0.072, which is greater than 0.05. And now, Laura is going to walk you through our detailed findings and recommendations.
Overall, participants were 80% successful on average for all 5 tasks. Participants struggled the most with task 3, which was logging symptoms, at a 60% success rate. Participants were most successful with task 5, which was creating a new care zone, at 100% success rate. From a duration perspective, participants completed each task in about 2 minutes. Participants spent the most time upfront learning the tool and looking for information. However, on task 3, participants had significantly shorter times overall and were least successful as compared to other tasks. After the participants completed each of the tasks in CareZone, we noticed the majority of the participants experienced the same frustration. They all gave us a few suggestions of their own. Some of these are: they had the most difficulty determining where to complete certain activities with the information architecture of the site. They felt having the ability to track their own and their family's medical information in one place is very valuable. The site performed as expected. However, participants had to explore and spend some time understanding how the site was organized and deciding where to log the appropriate information. One participant mentioned that add a care zone was not clear and should be changed to something better suiting. 3 of 5 participants mentioned that the site was easy to navigate through, And finally, the current dashboard landing page upon the login doesn't provide immediate value and forces users to engage with the left-hand navigational area.
It's simple to add a person because you just go here to add a care zone. I think it'd be more helpful if it said add a, person.
That makes sense.
And then you go to add a care zone, and the name is obviously self-explanatory. But then you have to click this box to get the email up. I think, I don't know, I think you should be able to put more information right off the bat, and then have to put his name, click this button.
Just assume that this is adding someone, since it's right underneath their name, and add a care zone. Probably be better if it said add a person, or add a patient, maybe. Or add a family member, since it's specifically for kids.
I thought maybe if I click to do, it would be kind of like setting the calendar reminder. But there's nowhere to edit anything, so don't think that's right. Can I delete?
Sure. What do you think?
Maybe it in calendar?
Once the tests were done, both CareZone and Health Vault, we noticed that the participants equally completed each task successfully, giving us a 91% success rate. Unfortunately, just like before with only CareZone, the participants mentioned that both sites offered too many data input fields. A lot of these fields were perceived as unnecessary. As for the difficulty, the participants that tested within Health Vault claimed that the tasks were more difficult to use than the participants that tested within CareZone. The difference of this was by 0.6 points. When we conducted the t-test, we decided to use the user average difficulty ratings for CareZone and Health Vault. These ratings were on a 1 through 5 scale, where 1 is easy and 5 is difficult. Since we have 2 independent variables, we used the data from the one-tail distribution test. However, since we are not certain of the variance for either site, we used the 2-sample unequal variance test. Therefore, we got a value of 0.072. And since this value is greater than 0.05, we can make the assumption that Health Vault has a more difficult usability than CareZone. After the participants completed each task in CareZone and Health Vault, we noticed a few different trends. These trends are: Health Vault participants were overwhelmed and confused by the amount of navigation options available. Participants commented that both sites offered too many data input fields that were perceived as unnecessary. Some of the participants were unsure on whether or not logging an appointment was actually scheduling it with a doctor or just recording it for their own benefit. And then finally, participants perceived Health Vault to be more difficult to navigate through. Participants had a 91% success rate for both the tools with the tasks provided.
I'd go 2 or 3. It was fairly easy, but it had a bunch of separate things I had to click on and enter things in, as opposed to being able to just list one thing or like only have one box to click in.
Okay. So sort of like lots of extra stuff, really?
Yeah, lots of extra clicks.
Okay.
Okay, so I see the add button. I'm gonna click on it. Oh crap. I cannot find the medication. Add a person, document, recent. Where is, oh, medication. I'll see. Never mind. Then like if there's only like 1 or 2, 5 things I need to have, like main things, put that first.
Gotcha.
There was like it was too many things I can add. Like wow,
Don't like know what's important.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know sort of what's important, but I just didn't know like where to even look for because I was looking for the recent thing, and if I never like or the on the documentation is I think it's alphabetized, but instead of that, I would have assumed like okay, medication. Some these 5 things people need to enter more.
Right.
Like nobody's gonna enter the blood pressure. I think that many times over again. I think,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's it's just hard to find.
After analyzing our findings, we provided several recommendations for improvement. Some of the recommendations are specific to the CareZone or Health Vault tool, whereas others are focused on overall usability improvements. First, we recommend that both tools auto-populate areas in the site that ask for the same data points or remove the redundant fields. There are several points in each experience where users are asked to input duplicate information that should permeate throughout the experience. Next, both sites should revise form fields to focus on the most important input fields and clearly denote the extra fields as extra. Users felt the need or pressure to complete all fields presented to them on screen, whether they had the information or not. Lastly, both experiences should consider revising the dashboard experience upon login. CareZone should focus in 2 areas: revising the site's information architecture by consolidating similar features such as journal and notes sections, and the creators should consider creating clearer labels for calls to action, like the Add a CareZone button. In contrast, Health Vault should focus on simplifying their site's navigational structure by offering one primary way of accessing the most important information and a secondary way that differentiates itself enough from the primary pattern so users can understand the desired path. Also, they should allow for more flexibility for text field input and validation. Health Vault's input fields were very specific in what was required, much more so than what participants expected. Thanks!